Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another one of those rite 9 weapons. And this time we have a very special one, because today we're going to be taking a look at the updated Cold Comfort, one of the best rockets just in the game period. And where it might be outmatched when it comes to a certain rocket from Bolt to Glass, if you don't do raids, then this is pretty much like the best rocket that you can possibly get in the game. So we're going to be going over what are the new perks that you can get on this weapon, what are some of the best ones, and what are some of those god rolls that you guys should be looking for if you're looking for a god roll on this weapon. And afterwards we'll have a mini review where I just talk about the things that I like or dislike about the weapon, although just from this intro, I'm sure you guys can have a bit of an idea of just what I think about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, as well as follow me on Twitch. We've been streaming a lot over there, so make sure you stop by. And now let's get into it, and first let's talk about how to actually get this weapon. And you can get this weapon from the rite 9 Goes to the Deep, and you're going to be able to get it on any difficulty, whether it's Explorer or Ultimatum. All of the weapons drop in any difficulty. Now the higher difficulty you go, the more depths you're going to be able to get, and that does have an advantage since you can actually use that depth mods. But even just a regular Cold Comfort is also going to be amazing. This weapon is an aggressive frame, which is great because these are the best types of rockets, and it comes with two different origin traits. The original one, Restoration Ritual, which will give you an emergency reload whenever you revive a teammate or finish an enemy, or also the new one, Gravity Well, meaning that every time that you reload the weapon, it will pick up nearby ammo. I think the Restoration Ritual is still the best one of the two, especially if you want to just get a lot of rockets out there quickly, since it just gives you a free reload just immediately when you fire a rocket. As long as you revive a teammate, or at least just finish an enemy, which is something that you can do very easily, you'll always have that emergency rocket. Now let's move on, and let's actually talk about the things that you guys really care about, which is the perks. And I gotta say that the perks in this weapon actually got quite better, and you're definitely gonna be seeing some interesting perk combinations in this one. So we're gonna have a quick overview of the perks, and then afterwards we'll get a little more in depth into some of the best ones. And after we're done looking at the perks, we'll have the god roll suggestions, since there is quite a couple different ones that I would actually recommend. But let's get into it, and let's start with the very first trait perk. So these are the different options we have for the very first trait perk. We have Rhyme Stealer, Reconstruction, Impulse Amplifier, Perpetual Motion, Envious Arsenal, and Tracking Module. And this role is going to be very simple. You basically are looking for Reconstruction or Envious Arsenal. Nothing else is really going to be as good as these two. Envious Arsenal is going to be the go-to for damage rotations. If you're going to be rotating through your weapons, doing a bunch of damage with all your weapons, with probably bait and switch, then Envious Arsenal is pretty much all that you need. Especially when you pair it with other Envious Arsenal weapons in the other slots, you're basically going to be constantly getting that extra damage, constantly reloading your weapon, and you're never going to have to actually manually reload your weapon. You're just going to be cycling through all your weapons, constantly shooting and putting out lots and lots of damage. Now Reconstruction is definitely still going to be a really good option. It lets you auto reload the magazine, it overflows their magazine, but it's definitely not going to be as good as Envious, at least when it comes to putting out DPS. This is going to be more for like GMs, or just going through content where you're not constantly just going to be shooting all your rocket ammo out there. It's essentially the perfect perk for any activity like that. But it doesn't mean that you can actually DPS with this. It's actually going to be pretty good, especially if you're using something else as your main DPS weapon. Like for example, Loader Wolves. Let's say that you're using Loader Wolves on a rocket. You can fire rockets, switch back to the Loader Wolves, do some damage with that, switch back to the rocket, put some more damage in with that. That way you don't really have any downtime, and you're putting tons and tons of damage out there. So both of these perks are going to be fantastic, and depending on the activity that you're doing, one perk might be better than the other. But at the same time, it also matters well the weapons you're pairing up with the rocket. But overall, you cannot go wrong with either of these perks. As long as you have one of these two, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. Now these are the options we're going to have for the second perk. You have Elemental Honing, Bipod, Sword Logic, Explosive Light, Bait and Switch, and lastly Choke Clip. And we're definitely going to have quite a few good choices here, but let's first start with some of the DPS ones that you guys are probably interested in. The first one is going to be Bait and Switch. That 30% damage increase, it pairs up really well with Envious Arsenal, and if you are already doing weapon swapping, then this is pretty much a no-brainer. It works really well into all the rotations that you're doing, and it's a 30% damage increase, one of the highest in the game. There is another perk that you can get on this rocket that gives you a higher damage boost at 40%, but it's definitely one that you're going to have to build into, while Bait and Switch is just something that you can always have on as long as you're switching weapons. So bait and switch is gonna be an amazing perk, and if you're gonna be doing boss DPS with this weapon, it's probably gonna be bait and switch. Now that other perk that I was talking about just a second ago is Elemental Honing. Dealing unique elemental damage grants this weapon a stack of damage bonus, and the bonus is increased for kinetic weapons. Now this, when fully stacked up, it's a 40% damage increase for 20 seconds, which is a ridiculous amount of time. Most DPS phases will probably be over by the time your Elemental Honing actually runs out. The problem with this perk is that it does require some setup, and you're essentially going to have to hit something with 5 different abilities. Now if you're on Prismatic, you can definitely use this a lot easier since you can mix and match your abilities, but if you're just on a normal light or darkness subclass, it can definitely be a lot harder. So I would only recommend Elemental Honing if you can really build into it, because that's really how you're going to get the most out of it. Otherwise, just pretty much go with bait and switch. Next, we're going to have Explosive Light. This is going to give you a 25% damage increase whenever you pick up some orbs, as well as max out your blast radius. This is going to be a pretty solid option for DPS and also for dealing with GMs, and it's actually my favorite perk to take onto any rocket for GMs. Just being able to always have this damage buff whenever I need it, without having to do any prior setup with bait and switch or Elemental Honing is just really good. I just point it at the champion and it just takes a bunch of damage. So for activities like GMs where you're constantly just moving and running into more enemies, is going to be fantastic. Bipod is also going to be pretty similar to Explosive Light, where it kind of shines in stuff like GMs and in any activity where you have to keep moving and basically just every once in a while you run into some big enemies. And the last one that I want to bring your attention to is Choke Clip. Now I've seen a lot of talk with Choke Clip lately with this rocket, and I think it's okay. It's definitely not going to be anything crazy when it comes to DPSing. It's definitely not going to outdo bait and switch or Elemental Honing or even Explosive Light, because Choke Clip can do a lot of damage, but it also has a cooldown period in between when you can't really take advantage of that shadow damage, basically just taking it out of any sort of DPS phase. But again, in activities where you don't really have to just constantly output DPS against one single enemy, it can definitely put out a lot of damage, and you're definitely going to be getting a lot per rocket whenever you apply Choke Clip, and you get a lot of that shadow damage. So I would definitely say it's a decent perk, but only in certain situations. And now let's move on and let's take a look at some of these god rolls. So there's actually a lot of combinations you can make with this weapon, but we're mostly going to keep it to the MBS Arsenal ones and also the Reconstruction ones. Now for MBS Arsenal, you can go the classic MBS Arsenal plus bait and switch. If you want a consistent rocket that's going to do really good damage, then this is the one that you have to go for. You also have an MBS Arsenal plus Elemental Honing, so while it does require some more effort, it will give you a higher payout with that 40% damage increase. With Reconstruction, you can pretty much pair it up with any other perk and it'll be really good, but the ones that I really love, especially for GMs, are Reconstruction Explosive Light or Reconstruction Bipod, and I like them for similar reasons. They're basically always ready for whenever you run into a bigger enemy, like a champion or a mini boss, and with the extra damage from Explosive Light, or use the 2 rockets from Bipod, you could do tons of damage, or just straight up delete champions. Both of these are going to be fantastic, maybe not for actual boss DPS, but for dealing with champions is going to be amazing. Reconstruction plus Choke Clip does have some synergy as well, since you do need 2 rockets to activate Choke Clip, and with this it pretty much guarantees you always have them ready, and you can actually take advantage of Choke Clip. But to be completely honest, Reconstruction is such a good perk that no matter what you pair it up with, you'll probably get some use out of it. And while not every single perk will really take advantage of this to the max, it's always something that's good to have and something that will benefit your rocket no matter what. But those are the best rolls that I think that you guys should be going for on this weapon. And now I want to hear from you guys. What are you guys going to be going for on this weapon? Are you guys going to be going for the classic MBS bait and switch? I think most people will actually be going for that. Or are you going to be messing around with maybe some of the other perks like Explosive Light, Elemental Honing, maybe some Choke Clip? Just let me know what is your perfect god roll in the comments below, and also just what do you think about this weapon in general. And now let me actually tell you what I think about this weapon, and I actually really like it. I really like the sound of the weapon, I like the look of the weapon, and with the new perks that I got, it is definitely back to being one of the best rockets in the game. And if you don't have a Hasten's Vengeance, then it's 100% the best rocket that you'll ever get. Hasten's is just way too good with that origin trait, and I definitely think it's gonna be one of the best weapons for a while with that crazy origin trait. But if you don't have that, then this is pretty much like the best rocket that you can get without stepping into both the glass and farming for a good essence. And with Explorer mode active and a bunch of people doing dungeons, it is the best time to get this rocket and get a really good roll that's gonna serve you really well. So I'm definitely a big fan of like this rocket and what Bungie did to it. It definitely got much better. But anyways, without getting into today's video, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.